Hello and welcome to part 50 of Summoner. Now you join me paused at this moment because this was a random encounter in the forest of Medivh, and this is for a very special side quest, the Tome of the Nhuvasarim. Now since you've collected the 6 pages of the Nhuvasarim before, he will offer to sell you the 7th for a mountain of gold, as he puts it. And he's not exaggerating, we need 500,000 gold pieces. So hopefully you've been selling your weapons you don't need to raise this amount, because that's really the best way to get gold in this game. As well as the gemstones we found in the city of Lanel after it had fallen. So there we go, we've got 7 pages now. He will now give us a warning about Mortankus. Now Mortankus is an archlich, and now that we have these 7 pages, he will come looking for us to get them, presumably. But fortunately, that's what we want, because he actually has the 8th page. So once we defeat him, we will have the complete set. I just wanted to read it and make sure it's the real deal, of course. This is like Antiques Roadshow. And I love how the tome pages are worth 10 gold coins. You can't sell them anyway, but it would be funny if you could. Now speaking of Mortankus, once you get the 7 pages, your next random encounter on the world map will be him. No matter where you're going, no matter what, he will like ambush you. And we're about to see. I was thinking, can I make it back to the mountains? But nope, he gets me here, in the forest. Right, hang on, this isn't the forest, this is the mountain encounter. But yep, you can tell it's him by all the undead hordes here. Well, I was saying that they are the frozen knights from the Cavern of Wolong, so yeah, not really much of a challenge, mate. Now what you have to do is you have to battle your way through these enemies, of course, and then work your way to the top of the mountain of this area, and there you will have to fight Mortankus. And yeah, this side quest, it's a really good one, I would say. I just like the idea of collecting these forbidden pages. It's like the Necronomicon or something. But yeah, essentially you get the 8 pages of the tome and then put them together, and you get sucked into the book. Now this is an idea which is repeated in the sequel, Summoner 2, and to be honest, it's done a lot better there. It just is. You'll see what I mean when we get all 8 pages together and finally get sucked into that tome and fight that special secret boss there. And also in the sequel you get a better reward for it as well. You do get a reward for this side quest in this game, but it's crap. I'm sorry, it just is. But then again, I guess that's what's the sequel for, to improve on what they did in the original. Now, out of the environments for these encounters, I do like the mountain one. It's the most interesting. For a start, there's an entrance. There's like a low entrance, and there's a high entrance. Or exits, I should say. There's like an exit on the low path, but you can also climb the mountain and exit through the top of the mountain, as we're about to see. And it's just a small detail, but it feels more interesting, more dynamic. You know, it's not a flat piece of ground. But onwards with Jakar in the lead. You can see here I've equipped him with the Nhuvasarim, just because its trip ability is really useful against these humanoid enemies. And speaking of the Cavern of Wolong, we meet the Ice Witch here. And yeah, this whole encounter is very reminiscent of that part of the game. And actually, just in general, they do tend to reuse a lot of enemies at this point. But speaking of which, at this point the game is actually nearly done. We've captured 3 of the demons, there's only 1 demon left, the Demon of Darkness. And yep, that's pretty much the end of the game. But the next 2 parts are cleaning up the last bits of the side quests. And yeah, they are quite interesting side quests, I would say, and the items you get are really good actually. But you can see here, this is why I like this encounter, this area. You sort of you're climbing a mountain and you have to make your way to the top here. And if I haven't said before, I do like the animation on the dying ice witches, where they sort of turn to ice and shatter. And these battles really aren't worth showing because they're over in a couple of seconds, really. And of course, if I was less stubborn, I could let a few of these live and just walk by. But then again, they attacked me, so I'm really just defending myself. Now, coming up next, we have a battle with more tankers, and he is, of course, an Arch-Lich. Like the Lich we met in the Cavern of Wolong, and like that Lich, he can't be hurt by sword weapons, hammer weapons, or any kind of magic. There are only a few ways to defeat him. One of them is to poison him, which is why I've summoned the Poison Elemental now. Now, the other way is to cast Death on him, but I don't have the Death spell. So yeah, it looks like I'm going to be relying on poison. And I must say, he's really rude. You know, most bosses like to introduce themselves, like, I will defeat you, but no, he just starts attacking us straight away. And you can see here, what I'm trying to do is cast poison with the elemental, but that doesn't seem to work. I think after a while I've realised it's just better to attack him. Now what you may notice here is the fact that Mortankus keeps getting tripped over by Joseph and Jakar's Debasa weapons. Yeah, which is why they're broken, honestly. Yeah, although granted, the weapons don't do any damage at all, but at least they keep Mortankus on the ground. So yeah, that's something to be thankful for. At this point, the ice witch there is becoming quite a nuisance. Oh, and at this point, I'm just thinking, just be poisoned, please. And if you remember, in the Cavern of Wolong, there was actually an instant death trap you could lure him into. But no such luck at this point. Yeah, in fact, this whole encounter is a tribute to the Cavern of Wolong. And speaking of which, is that where these ice witches come from? The cavern? You know, did they all get on a car and... well, not a car, did they all get on a boat? But, oh well. At this point, I thought I'd even try backstabbing him. Doesn't work. I guess the poison must have killed him then. And yes, he leaves behind the 8th and final page of the Tome of the Nhuvasarim. But before we head on back to Gasoldo, because that's who we need to see again, let's just take a quick look, because they do actually have a bit of writing on them. Okay, there's the tome we got from Murad. The Torment and the Archmage Mortankus. It tells of Mortankus' journey to an island watched by serpents of the sea. The narrative mentions Mortankus' visit to the Palace of Armen. The Tome of the Nhuvasarim. Among the dense scrolls you can make out the phrase, "Below the City of the Gods." A battle between Mortankus and the Mountain of the Wise. It mentions the city of the Sudani god. The text describes Mortankus' encounter with a minion of Lahara, in which he trades another man's soul for his own immortality. Tells of an epic battle between Mortankus and a sorcerer of light, which I'll guess might be the summoner, or a previous summoner, of course. The text is incomprehensible. Oh, you mean we don't get an ending to the game? Yeah, because I think that is meant to be a prophecy. But first of all, let me tell you a story of how we got these tome pages. One day, we visited our friend Murad, and found he had a book, but oh no, the pages were missing. But luckily, we found the first page in the sewers of Lanel, near the waterfall. We then found the second page in the city of Lanel, near the old park. The third page we found after defeating the evil prince, which by the way is a location you can't return to, so I hope you got it the first time. The fourth page we got as a present from an old lady after defeating Hanul and giving her back her gemstone. The fifth page we got on a trip to the library when defeating the demon of light. The sixth page we found in the stinky old swamp. The seventh page we bought from Gastoldo for frankly a too high price. And the eighth page we found after defeating the evil Mortankus. So yep, that was just a brief reminder. Because I know there are 8 locations spread out throughout the game, so I thought that was a little helpful, at least. But yep, after this you should find Gastoldo again, and this should initiate a very interesting part of the side quest. First of all, you need to save, and also cast buffering spells on you, particularly Protect and Regenerate. And any other spells you got at hand. Because once you talk to Gastoldo, he will put the 8 pages of the tome together, and we will be like sucked into the book. I'm making it sound a lot cooler than what you actually see. But yeah, cast buffering spells and save the game. Because once we do this, we will initiate a very cool and very secret boss fight. And we say goodbye to our 8 pages. He asks you if I am ready, and yes, my body is more than ready, my friend. And apparently we do get sucked into the book, but we don't get like an animation or anything. We get a loading screen. Sigh. But oh crap, it's the 4 riders. Yes, we have to face all 4 of the riders at once. Now fortunately, they don't have the skills they have when you first battled them. So, for example, the Phoenix Rider won't raise himself from the dead, and the Ghost Rider won't summon extra ghosts to help him out. Now, when fighting this guy, my main concern was taking out the Viper Rider, the Serpent Rider, because he will cast negative statuses with his whip, like Paralyze and Poison all at once. Then after this, I would say perhaps the Phoenix Rider is the one you should look out for, because he can cast fire spells, as you can see here. Now, a helpful tip is to pick up the items as they die. As soon as all 4 of them are defeated, you can't return to this place. I mean, granted, they are items you've probably already seen before, but it should be okay. Now, when I first fought these 4 guys, I thought these guys were the hardest boss fights in the game, and I guess they technically are. But as you can see, like for a start, Jakar here is doing 200 points of damage each hit, and because I've equipped the Nhuvasarim, these riders are getting tripped every 5 minutes. That, and I think the first part of the boss fight is the most important. But the fact that I took out the Serpent Rider first was very important, because at that point they had lost one of their best fighters. And yet it just fades out quickly. I hope you grab those items. And the game will just instantly put you outside the city of the Kosani. But this, however, is some footage from a later part of the game, which you should see in a part or 2. And I wanted to show off your reward for that side quest, for that difficult side quest and that really hard boss fight. It's an extra summon, the Spirit of Lahara. And really, it's not really worth it. It's a fairly weak summon. But anyway, I just really enjoy getting that side quest. You know, I like the idea of collecting 8 pages of a forbidden book and fighting all 4 of the demon riders at once. Or the demon riders, or whoever. But yep, they can see the Spirit of Lahara. It's like an Oni demon or something. Yeah, it's clearly a reused model. I think it's the sort of a Minotaur or whoever, but yeah. You can see he's really fast, but doesn't really matter. And did you see that? He did 3 points of damage. Like, seriously, is there a way to make these summons more powerful? Because otherwise they're really weak, and that really wasn't worth all that trouble. But anyway, I enjoyed doing the quest for the sake of doing the quest anyway.